The sky above Earth darkened in a way no one could have expected. Without warning, a fleet of enormous ships appeared just beyond the edge of the solar system. Their shapes were sleek and jagged, their shadows stretching across the stars like an eclipse. They came in total silence. No radio signals, no communication, no warning, just the chilling presence of their arrival. Humans stared up at the sky in awe and terror. The ships were nothing like anything seen before. No recognizable technology, no symbols or insignia, just dark, hulking structures that seemed to swallow the light from the stars around them. For days, they hung motionless in the sky. Earth's greatest minds had no answers, no solutions, no plans. The silence was broken only by the occasional hum of an emergency transmission that crackled across communication lines, a disjointed and distorted message from an unknown source. The first transmissions were incomprehensible. No one knew what to make of them. They were mere fragments of noise that only deepened the mystery. The world's top scientists and military experts were immediately mobilized, but no one could decode the strange alien language. It felt as though the message was meant to be more than just a warning. It was a test, a glimpse of something far more complex than anyone had expected. The unknown ships did nothing to provoke humanity. They simply waited, poised above Earth like silent observers, their intentions hidden behind layers of unknown technology. That the longer they waited, the more the human population felt the weight of their presence pressing down on the world. The unease spread through every corner of Earth's governments, military outposts, and civilian populations. No one knew what to expect, but everyone feared the unknown. It wasn't until a full week later that the first coherent transmission broke through the static. It wasn't much, but the word was clear and chilling: prepare. The word echoed across the globe in every language, a single command from the invaders, a simple word that carried with it an unspoken promise of something terrible to come across the airwaves. Governments scrambled to react, but there was no blueprint for what came next, no preparation for an event like this. People were left grasping for explanations, but all they could do was watch the ships linger in the sky, their size and power undeniable. The initial panic quickly gave way to confusion. People were desperate for answers, but none came. The ships simply remained, their dark forms looming above Earth, as if daring humanity to react, to provoke them to respond. But still they waited. Day after day passed with no further communication, no further explanation, just the haunting silence and the looming presence of the fleet. Earth was on edge. Nations met behind closed doors and debated their next move. Some argued for diplomacy, but others feared that any form of communication would invite disaster. With no clear path forward, every decision felt like a risk, and the tension only grew as the weeks stretched on. In the midst of the uncertainty, a few whispers started to surface from the shadows of governments and scientists alike, rumors of a message not yet decoded, of a secret warning hidden within the transmissions, a deeper meaning that no one dared speak out loud just yet. The word prepare hung in the air, a reminder that whatever was coming, humanity would not be ready for what it would face. The world's greatest minds worked around the clock to decode the mysterious transmissions. Humanity's best linguists, scientists, and engineers pored over every shred of data, trying to make sense of the alien message. But the more they tried, the more the pieces seemed to slip from their grasp. The strange patterns of sound seemed to speak in riddles, their technology too advanced to be understood by Earth's best attempts. Yet with each passing day, a new breakthrough occurred, slowly at first. Then, with increasing speed, the patterns began to reveal fragments of meaning hidden deep within the chaos of alien speech. The breakthrough came when a small team of cryptographers discovered a repeating sequence within the transmission, a sequence that finally allowed them to form coherent words. The first word was the most chilling of all: empire. It was a word that seemed to carry the weight of an entire galaxy, a word that seemed to reverberate across the minds of those who heard it. It carried with it the promise of a great and ancient power. The team worked feverishly to decode the rest of the message. As more of it was unraveled, the truth became undeniable. This was not a random encounter with alien explorers. This was not a mere greeting. This was the message of an empire, the Andromeda Empire, a civilization that spanned not just a few systems, but entire galaxies. The message grew clearer with every moment, But the more they understood, the more terrifying it became. The Empire was old, far older than any civilization on Earth, and its reach had touched countless worlds. The message spoke of Earth as a new acquisition, a world ripe for conquest, a place to be added to their ever-expanding domain. The Empire had watched Earth for centuries. They had observed humanity's rise and fall, the birth of nations, the building of civilizations, and the progress of technology. They knew Earth's history better than its own inhabitants knew it. The message revealed that the Empire's fleet had been sent to offer Earth a choice: join the Empire as a subject race, or face annihilation. The Empire was not interested in negotiation or diplomacy. Their demands were simple and final: Earth would either submit to their rule or be crushed under their might. As the message spread to the global leaders, panic set in once more. The full weight of the Empire's power was beginning to sink in. Military experts across the world compared the advanced alien technology to Earth's best weapons and found them hopelessly outmatched. Nothing Earth had was capable of standing against the might of such an ancient force. Humanity was at the mercy of the Empire, yet despite the overwhelming odds, something strange happened. Earth's leaders did not immediately surrender. They could not bring themselves to give up without a fight, even knowing the vast disparity in power. Something within the human spirit refused to bow down to such an ultimatum. At the same time, a growing sense of unity began to spread across the world. Countries that once fought over resources and ideologies began to see a greater enemy on the horizon. Humanity's differences began to fade as the threat of the Empire overshadowed all else. As Earth's leaders met in emergency sessions, the message from the Empire was clear and unyielding: Earth would either bend the knee or it would be destroyed. The question that hung in the air was simple: what would humanity choose? As the message from the Empire spread across the globe, humanity found itself at a crossroads. Every nation was forced to confront the terrifying reality of their situation, but the response was fractured. Some nations called for immediate surrender, convinced that Earth stood no chance against the might of the Andromeda Empire. They argued that humanity had no option but to join the Empire and secure a place in its vast domain. Those in favor of submission claimed that survival was more important than pride, that Earth's best hope was to fall in line with the invaders and avoid annihilation. But not everyone agreed. Others saw the message as an insult, as a challenge to the very soul of humanity. These leaders refused to entertain the idea of submission, no matter the consequences. They saw the Empire's demands as a direct attack on human freedom, and their refusal to be ruled by anyone not of their kind became a rallying cry. They argued that humanity's strength lay in its defiance, in its capacity to fight back against seemingly insurmountable odds, and they would not let the Empire take that away from them. The debate raged on across the globe as tensions ran high. Many saw the split as a reflection of human nature: those who believed in survival at any cost, and those who would rather face destruction than lose their autonomy. In the background, whispers of rebellion began to surface. Smaller groups of resistance fighters formed with the sole purpose of preparing for the war to come. They trained in secret, hidden from the eyes of the Empire's scouts. While the political leaders argued, the people of Earth began to prepare in their own way. Some started to build hidden bunkers, others stockpiled weapons and resources, just in case. Those who feared that the Empire's arrival was a prelude to their destruction weren't so easily convinced that all hope was lost. As the uncertainty grew, fear turned to suspicion. Countries began to hoard their resources. Distrust spread through alliances that were once strong, and soon the world's most powerful leaders found themselves isolated in the face of an overwhelming enemy. Nations that had once been bitter enemies now found themselves forming uneasy alliances, driven by the shared understanding that the stakes were greater than anything they had ever faced. The United States, Russia, China, and the European Union put aside old grudges to begin discussions of defense strategies and survival plans. The world's top scientists and engineers were pulled into the fold, tasked with creating any advantage that could be used against the Empire. Earth's military began to unite, but not without resistance from those who feared this collective effort would lead to the kind of totalitarian control they had fought against for centuries. Debates over the nature of Earth's defense escalated as nations scrambled to protect their sovereignty, while simultaneously trying to prepare for an inevitable confrontation. Meanwhile, in the shadows unknown to the leaders of Earth, a growing underground movement formed an organization dedicated not just to survival, but to the idea of defiance. They called themselves the Vanguard, and their goal was to find a way to drive the Empire from Earth once and for all. They had no illusions about the scale of the task ahead, but they knew that if humanity was to survive, it would have to rely on something more than just technology. It would have to rely on something that the Empire had yet to fully understand: the power of the human spirit. The Vanguard worked in secret crafting plans and gathering resources. Their numbers grew quietly as more and more people saw in them a glimmer of hope for a future where Earth was free. The divisions within humanity were deep, but so was the resolve of those who refused to bow their heads to the Empire. And though the fate of Earth seemed uncertain, one thing was clear: no one was willing to give up without a fight. As the days turned into weeks, the Empire's silence became deafening. Their ships remained motionless in Earth's orbit, like dark monoliths suspended in the void. Every government on Earth was paralyzed by the looming threat and the pressure of the Empire's demands. Each new message from the invaders sent waves of panic and uncertainty through the global community. The messages were relentless, cold, and commanding. With every transmission, the tone grew darker. The Empire's message was clear: submit or face total destruction. The ultimatum left no room for negotiation, no possibility of a peaceful resolution. The human race would either accept its place as a subject world under the Empire's rule or be obliterated in the most brutal fashion. As the leaders of Earth met in emergency sessions, one question echoed in their minds: how could they respond to such an overwhelming threat? Some countries pushed for immediate surrender, thinking that resistance was futile. They argued that the best chance for survival was to accept the Empire's offer and join the greater galactic order, that Earth would be spared from destruction and its people would live under the Empire's control. Others, however, refused to give up so easily. They argued that submission was not an option, that the human spirit would not bend under the weight of an alien empire, no matter how powerful they were. The discussions grew heated and violent at times as nations struggled to decide which path to take. In the midst of this chaos, another message arrived from the Empire. The words flashed across every screen and every radio around the world. It was a declaration, an announcement of their intentions. It was simple but horrifying. We have arrived to claim what is ours. Earth will be brought into the fold of the Andromeda Empire, or it will be destroyed. Your choice has already been made. The message was signed by the Emperor himself, his name unspoken, but his presence felt in every word. It was a direct challenge to humanity's very existence, an announcement that they had been judged and found wanting. The message sent shockwaves through Earth's leaders and the population as a whole. The tension that had been building for weeks exploded into fear and anger. The world was now fully aware of what was at stake. But it wasn't just fear that took hold, it was defiance. The message had been clear: the Empire saw Earth as a mere pawn in their vast conquest, but humanity was not willing to be so easily claimed. The people of Earth began to rally, not just against the Empire, but against those who would surrender without a fight. The idea of giving up became anathema to the human will, and soon even those who had once believed submission was the only option began to reconsider. In every corner of the Earth, the call for resistance grew louder, and more unified underground movements sprang to life as people began to prepare for war, no longer willing to wait for the Empire's next move. Earth's scientists and military leaders began to work together in ways never before seen. They pooled their resources in secret facilities, developing new technologies and strategies to defend the planet. With every passing day, humanity's resolve hardened. They knew that their chances of survival were slim against such a powerful foe, but they also knew that surrender was a far worse fate. And so the stage was set. The Empire had made its offer and Earth had made its choice. There would be no submission, no surrender. Humanity's fight for freedom had only just begun, and no matter the cost, they would defend their home with everything they had. As Earth's leaders and military forces scrambled to develop a defense plan against the Empire's overwhelming might, a discovery was made, one that would change everything. At first, it seemed like a small breakthrough, an anomaly that didn't fit the expected patterns of alien technology. But as scientists dug deeper, they realized the full scope of what they had uncovered. Buried within the Empire's own transmissions were hidden clues, a strange pattern, a flaw in the alien technology that had gone unnoticed at first. But now it was clear humanity's scientists had stumbled upon something vital. It was a weakness, a crack in the Empire's seemingly impenetrable armor, and it lay in their reliance on centralized control. The Empire's technology was advanced beyond anything Earth had ever seen, but it was also rigid and monolithic. Their systems depended on a singular, massive network that coordinated every ship, every weapon, every piece of technology within their fleet. At this revelation, hope began to stir. For the first time since the Empire's arrival, humanity began to see a potential advantage, something they could exploit. The flaw was in the architecture of the Empire's war machines, a weakness that came from the sheer size and complexity of their operations. No empire that spanned galaxies could maintain perfect unity in its systems, and the more Earth's engineers studied the technology, the more they realized the vulnerability was not only in the systems themselves, but also in the tactics the Empire used. Their vast fleet had been built for overwhelming force and control, but lacked the flexibility to adapt to unpredictable conditions that Earth's forces could exploit. If they could somehow disrupt the Empire's central network, they could cripple the alien war machines and break their hold over the skies. Word of this discovery spread like wildfire, and Earth's scientific community rallied together, pulling in experts from every field to work on the problem. The military leaders shifted their focus from conventional defense strategies to a far more audacious plan, one that would require every ounce of human ingenuity and creativity they had. It was no longer about matching the Empire's strength. It was about exploiting the one thing they had overlooked, the unpredictability of humanity's spirit and mind. Humanity was a species that didn't just follow patterns, it adapted to them, it bent and broke them when necessary, and now that adaptability would be their greatest weapon. Meanwhile, across Earth, the underground movements that had once been isolated began to unite their scattered cells into a single resistance. The Vanguard was born, a coalition of soldiers, scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens who refused to let their world be taken without a fight. They began organizing in secret locations, gathering resources and weapons, preparing for the day they would strike back. The Vanguard worked tirelessly to refine the new technology they had uncovered, using it to develop small-scale attacks that would disrupt the Empire's fleet in subtle ways. They sabotaged minor systems within the Empire's warships, testing their theories in real time. With each successful attack, the resistance grew bolder and more organized. While the resistance worked in the shadows, Earth's military forces began training their soldiers in guerrilla tactics, techniques that would allow them to strike swiftly and disappear into the vast expanse of space. Before the Empire could retaliate, they knew that they could not take on the Empire head-to-head, not yet, but they could harass their fleets and sabotage their operations, forcing the invaders to expend precious resources and manpower on unpredictable threats that would slowly erode their dominance. The world's people had begun to believe in something they hadn't in years, that they could win, that Earth's hidden strength lay not in its technological might, but in its will to survive and fight back, no matter the odds. The day of reckoning arrived sooner than anyone expected. Earth's forces had worked in secret for months, preparing a plan to strike back against the Empire's overwhelming might. The world's nations had set aside their differences to form a unified front, and with that unity came a new resolve. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. As the Empire's massive fleet loomed above Earth, the first wave of counterattacks was launched not with conventional warfare, but with a shocking surprise. Humanity's first strike was swift and calculated, a combination of guerrilla tactics and technological ingenuity designed to exploit the Empire's weakness. The attack came in the form of a coordinated series of raids across Earth's orbital defenses and key space stations, using newly developed weapons designed to disrupt the Empire's central control network. Without warning, small human vessels equipped with experimental tech infiltrated the outer edges of the Empire's fleet and released powerful electromagnetic pulses that knocked out key systems aboard the alien warships. The attack was a success. The Empire's fleet was momentarily thrown into disarray. The unexpected interference disrupted the alien command structure, causing confusion and chaos among their ranks for a brief moment. The invaders were not the unstoppable force they had seemed to be, and that small victory was enough to ignite something within humanity's defenders, the realization that the Empire could be beaten, that Earth could fight back. The first wave of Earth's military forces took advantage of the disarray, launching their own assault. A coordinated barrage of energy weapons and missiles targeted the weakened warships, taking out several of the Empire's smaller vessels. Before the invaders could regroup, the humans did not stand and fight on a single front. Instead, they used the element of surprise to their advantage, striking quickly and retreating into the shadows. Before the Empire could respond, their ships were small, agile, and capable of high-speed maneuvers, making it difficult for the Empire's vast but slow-moving fleet to retaliate. The fight moved into the darkness of space as human forces engaged the Empire in a series of hit-and-run tactics that scattered the enemy forces and kept them off balance. Humanity's fighters wove through the stars like lightning strikes, unpredictable and chaotic, as they attacked key enemy vessels and outposts with precision and speed. The Empire's response was immediate, but far slower than they had anticipated. Their ships struggled to adapt to the humans' unpredictable methods. Earth's forces were not organized in the traditional way of military operations. They fought with a raw, unrefined fury that caught the Empire off guard. As the first strike continued, a sense of hope began to spread across Earth. For the first time in months, the people saw that resistance was possible. The stories of successful raids and small victories reached every corner of the globe, and in the streets people began to rally behind the cause. Those who had once been doubtful now found themselves inspired by the courage and creativity of their defenders. A newfound confidence spread through the ranks of the military and the civilians alike. They were no longer fighting for survival alone. They were fighting for their freedom, their future. But despite the early successes, Earth's forces knew that this was only the beginning. The Empire was still a formidable foe, and they would not give up easily. Humanity had struck the first blow, but the war was far from over. The Empire would respond, and when they did, Earth would have to be ready for the fight of its life. The Empire's response was swift and brutal. The initial shock of Earth's unexpected counterattack had sent ripples through their ranks, but the invaders quickly regrouped. Their vast fleet began to tighten around Earth. With terrifying precision, their warships gathered in a formation unlike anything humanity had seen before, an armada capable of crushing any resistance in its path. The first wave of Earth's hit-and-run attacks had been successful, but the Empire was not one to falter for long. They adapted quickly, learning from their mistakes and coordinating their forces in ways that humanity had never anticipated. The weight of their superior technology was brought to bear as the fleet began to move in closer. For weeks, Earth's forces fought desperately, trying to maintain their position in space. They launched raids against enemy vessels, striking hard and fast. Before retreating into the stars, their tactics continued to be unpredictable and relentless. But despite their ingenuity, they were outmatched. The Empire's ships were faster, more powerful, and more numerous. The balance of power seemed to shift back in favor of the invaders. Humanity's initial victories seemed like a fleeting hope as the full might of the Empire closed in on Earth's last remaining defenses. The pressure was mounting, and the cost of each engagement was rising. With every battle, humanity lost more ships, more fighters, more lives, but they refused to back down. In the midst of this growing desperation, something changed. Earth's military leaders and scientists made a critical discovery. They had studied the remnants of the Empire's destroyed vessels and found something they hadn't expected. Hidden in the debris was another weakness, a flaw in the Empire's defensive protocols, one that would allow Earth's forces to strike directly at the heart of their fleet with devastating results. It was a breakthrough of unimaginable importance. The Empire had failed to account for the adaptability of human ingenuity. Once again, humanity's creativity had found a way to exploit the cracks in the Empire's seemingly impenetrable armor. The discovery reignited a spark of hope in Earth's forces, and the resistance. They were no longer fighting just to survive. They were fighting to win their chances of victory. Had grown exponentially. The new plan was simple but dangerous. Earth's forces would mount a direct assault on the Empire's flagship, the command center of their fleet, the one vessel that coordinated all of their forces. If Earth could take it down, they could cripple the Empire's control and disrupt their entire operation. The plan was risky, and many wondered if it would even succeed, but it was the only hope humanity had left. The vanguard and military leaders began to prepare their forces for the most daring assault humanity had ever undertaken. Every resource was pooled into this final push. The resistance fighters worked alongside Earth's military specialists to develop new tactics that would give them the edge. The ships were retrofitted with advanced technology that would allow them to break through the Empire's defenses and strike at the heart of their command center. As the day of the assault drew nearer, a sense of unity that had never existed before swept through Earth. The world's people were no longer divided by politics or ideologies. They were united in a singular goal to reclaim their freedom, no matter the cost. And with that unity came a newfound strength that no empire could ever truly crush. Humanity had found its strength in each other, and they would use it to fight back with everything they had. The day of the final assault arrived like a storm on the horizon. Humanity's forces gathered their strength and resolve for the most dangerous mission they had ever undertaken. Earth's combined military and the vanguard prepared for the most critical battle of all time. The fate of their world rested on their ability to strike directly at the Empire's flagship and disrupt their command structure. The plan was risky, but it was their only chance. As Earth's forces assembled their fleets, the silence in space was deafening. For a moment, it seemed as though the entire universe was holding its breath, waiting for the storm to break. The assault began with an explosion of energy as Earth's forces launched their strike against the Empire's flagship, a vast behemoth that floated at the center of the Empire's fleet. The ship was a symbol of their dominance, a fortress in space, armed with weapons capable of destroying entire planets. But humanity had learned from their previous encounters, and their new strategy focused on agility and precision. The vanguard ships slipped through the gaps in the Empire's defenses, using the same hit-and-run tactics that had proved successful in the past. But this time they were targeting the heart of the enemy's power. The Empire's flagship was surrounded by layers of shields and advanced weaponry, but the weakness humanity had discovered was the very thing that could tear it apart. The Empire had not fully accounted for the human ability to adapt. Their systems were too rigid, too reliant on centralized control, and now Earth's forces would exploit that weakness to strike a decisive blow. The battle was chaos. Ships darted through the vast expanse of space, engaging in violent skirmishes as human and alien forces collided in a series of blinding explosions. The Empire's ships were faster and more powerful, but Earth's forces fought with a desperation that pushed them beyond their limits. Each human ship that fell was avenged by the next, each small victory built upon the last, and as the battle raged, humanity's greatest strength emerged. The human spirit, the ability to overcome impossible odds, was their true weapon, and it shone brightest in their darkest hour. The vanguard led the charge towards the flagship, weaving through the Empire's defenses with breathtaking precision. They dodged incoming fire and breached the flagship's outer hull with a daring maneuver. The resistance fighters stormed the ship's corridors, engaging the Empire's soldiers in close combat, while engineers worked frantically to disable the ship's central control systems. Every second counted. The flagship's command center was the heart of the Empire's entire fleet. If they could destroy it, they would cripple the invaders' ability to control their forces and turn the tide of the war. Inside the command center, the battle was fierce. The Empire's soldiers fought with terrifying efficiency, but the resistance was relentless. Each human soldier fought not just for survival, but for freedom and the future of their species. The chaos within the flagship's control room reached a crescendo as the final detonator was triggered, and the ship's command system collapsed in a massive explosion that rocked the entire fleet. The Empire's flagship fell silent, and with it the Empire's control over their forces crumbled. The once unstoppable armada began to disintegrate. Without their central command, the Empire's ships became disorganized and easy targets for Earth's forces. Humanity launched their final offensive, attacking the scattered remnants of the Empire's fleet. With everything they had, the invaders, now vulnerable, had no choice but to retreat in disarray. The war was over. The Empire had been defeated and Earth had emerged victorious. The cost had been high. Countless lives were lost in the fight, but humanity had shown the galaxy that no empire was invincible, that the human spirit could not be broken. No matter how dire the circumstances, the people of Earth stood together and fought for their freedom. And in the end they had won. The universe would never forget the day that humanity stood up to the Andromeda Empire and claimed its place among the stars.